Hello, hello. Buenas noches. How y'all doing? How are y'all doing? Thank you for joining me on our little Wednesday night chat. As you saw with the title and the thumbnail of this video, we are continuing our conversation from last week where I answered financial questions y'all sent me. We did not have enough time last week to get all of the questions. And it's telling me, okay, I think we're good. Let me know if we're having any audio or video problems. I think we should be good to go. If you are new here, welcome. Glad you found the channel. My name is Adelia Borashade. I am the founder of Picky Girls Travel Solo, a Facebook group for Black women and femme solo travelers, those who have never traveled at all, as well as those who have lots of experience and everybody in between. It is a safe space to ask questions and all of that good stuff. Share your travels. I am also the founder of the Financial Confidence Academy, a space for women of color to gain financial education so that they can make financially confident decisions in order to live the life that they want. So that's me. I am coming to you live from Mexico City, which is where I have been living for the next month will be 3 years. I am an expat who lives abroad, and so I share that experience as well on my channel. So if you're into travel, living abroad, or you want to talk money, this is the place for you. Be sure to subscribe. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers. I think we're like 55 people away, something like that. And so, of course, we're going to celebrate. So, yeah, if you haven't subscribed, do that. And I think we'll just jump right in. Oh, if by chance you missed last week's live and you want to know what were the questions that we answered last week, let me grab that link. I did not think to grab that link, and I will pin it at the top. So get shareable link. Here we go. And if I go to YouTube, so give me a moment to do this. I didn't think this part through. So yeah, and then we'll jump into the remaining questions. And some of you were kind enough to drop in. You had questions between last week and this week. And so I have added those to my snazzy little PowerPoint. Money questions. Okay, here we go. Trying to make sure I spelled everything right before. Okay, and I have pinned that comment. So let us get down to it. Oh, I am coming to the meetup. What y'all can't see is the pile of clothes over there as I'm trying to be a responsible adult and pack before like 30 minutes before I walk out the door, because that's usually how I roll. Doesn't matter where I am going. I tend to be a last minute packer, but I have started gathering my clothes over there. So yes, I will be in Cancun on Friday, both myself and Miss Mia. So yeah, I will see you ladies there. Okay, so here we are. Okay. what stocks are you buying during this bearish market? Okay, if you are not familiar with the term bear market and bull market, uh, we just came off of like a lot of growth in the stock market. That is a bull market. Everybody loves a bull market because they're making lots of money, or they should be. We have officially, whoever it is that does the declaring of these things, um, they have officially said we have entered a bear market. Bear market does not mean crash. What a bear market is things they're more sluggish. They don't move and charge around like a bull does. So I am not really making any changes to the way I invest. I do not invest in individual stocks. If you have watched this channel for any length of time at all, you know I am team do as little as possible. I want it to be easy. In order to build a portfolio that is properly diversified, you really have to do a lot of research on individual stocks. And I am not doing that, y'all. That sounds too much like work. So I tend to stick with low cost index funds. I'm still doing the same thing I was doing. Nothing really changes for me, other than my feelings get hurt every time I look in the market and I see how much of the earnings that I had at one point are not there. But I believe in the system and I hope to get that money back, you know, eventually. So nothing is changing for me. Like I said, I do not buy individual stocks because I am not about all that research. And I've not made any adjustments. You will find a lot of people talking about I bonds because the rate that the government is paying, I think for the current 6 months, is something like 9%. So as a way to kind of hedge against inflation. But I looked at it and it did not appeal to me. So I'm not changing anything where that is concerned. Okay. What is the absolute fastest way to increase our credit score ourselves, such as in 2 to 4 weeks by 100 points now? Okay, here's the thing. Your credit score is, what's the word I want? I don't want to say it's meaningless, but it's not really based on you and how credit worthy you are. What it's based on is what the people, the powers that be, feel like your credit worthiness. What I'm trying to say is, as individuals, we don't have all that much control over our credit scores, let alone how quickly we can change them. But I did a little reading, and honestly, the things that will have the biggest impact now, will it be 100 points? We don't get to determine that. The credit bureaus do. Will it see a shift in 2 to 4 weeks? Again, we have no power there. The credit bureaus decide. It's kind of like the algorithm on Instagram and TikTok. Like, we don't know how the algorithm works, but we are impacted by it. Credit scores are kind of the same way. But some things you can do that will have the fastest impact is, if you have balances on your credit cards, start paying them down, because one of the things your credit score is based off of is how much of your credit you are using. So you want to drop that percentage. And there's 2 ways you can do that. Either pay down your balances or get an increase in your credit limit. If you can do both of those, that might even drop your credit usage quicker, and hopefully the credit bureau will reward you for that. The other thing that you can do is to go through your credit report. Remember that everybody is entitled to a free credit report once a year. I think it's freecreditreport.org, freecreditreport.com. one of those. You get it from all three of the major credit reporting agencies. Look for mistakes. If you find them, if you see negative entries that are invalid, start the process to get them removed. That's really the best you can do. But we don't know, we don't really have control because credit scores, it's all a game. They reward the people who don't need credit and they screw over the people who do. That's just my opinion. Oh, I didn't give my little preface to this whole conversation. Y'all know I can't give anybody financial advice. I am not licensed to do that. Okay. I am just sharing some information for you to do with what you will. Okay. All right. Next question. Is $20,000 enough savings for a sabbatical? I sure as hell hope so. I keep meeting goals and then raising my goal. 20 grand is plenty. Okay. Short of like you renting yachts every week, I can't think of any kind of sabbatical that would not be enough money for. I think the bigger issue here is the fact that you meet the goal and then you're like, that's not enough. I need more money. I mean, if you've already decided that eventually you're going to take a sabbatical, sit down and figure out where is it you want to be? How do you want to live during that sabbatical? What does the monthly budget look like? And then do the math. Based off the monthly budget that you think you can live on, how many months can you buy yourself with 20K? That'll give you the answer of whether or not that is enough money. But I think it is. I am not ignoring y'all's comments over here on the side. I'm just not good at multitasking. I am not good at multitasking at all. So, okay. Sometimes I think credit scores are based on zip codes. There's actually a lot of research that shows that your zip code basically determines your life in the United States. So many things about you are basically determined by your zip code. So I would bet money that your credit score is probably one of those things. Okay. I-bonds are at 9.62% current interest. I bought some for emergency fund. It's hard to break open. True. I think you gotta hold I-bonds. Is it you have to hold them for 5 years so that you don't lose any of the interest when you sell them? Because like if you buy I-bonds, you have to hold them for, I think, a minimum 1 year. And if you sell them after 1 year, you lose the last 3 months of interest you earned. I believe it's something like that. So yeah, if you want to grow some money and you don't want to really be able to touch it, I-bond might be the way to go. See, Auntie Lou, this is it right here. Credit scores are like HR departments. They are not really there for the people. They aren't, y'all. And this is why I tell people, don't get so bent out of shape and so worked up over your credit score. Unless you are actively searching for a loan, I would not worry about my credit score. I mean, it's a nice, having a good credit score is nice, to have as a backup in case you might need it. But it's not anything I'm going to lose sleep over. Not at all. Okay. So we answered this question. Okay. Do you suggest paying off all debt, then investing? No, I don't. I see some variation of this conversation a lot. Should I pay off my debt or should I invest? Why can't you do both? I don't think it has to be all or the other. Because the thing about investing is the best time to start investing was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. That's my little riff on the Chinese proverb you don't invest because you're focused on paying off your debt, you are losing all of that potential growth, all of that time in the market where your money could be compounding. Now, if let's say I have, because y'all know math in my head is not my strong suit, so we're going to keep the numbers simple. Let's say I have $100 extra every month that can either go toward my bills or investing. Why can't I do both? I will focus a portion of that $100 toward my debt, and then some portion, even if it's just $5, even if it's just $10, I'm still going to invest it. That's just my opinion, but I feel like the time you lose out in the market, assuming you're talking about stock investing, that you can't ever get that time back. I would say try and do both and be as aggressive as you can. Look at your budget and see where you can free up additional money to throw at your debt, but I would do both at the same time. All right. How can I start investing if I don't have a lot of money to invest? You don't need a lot of money to invest. I'm not sure. I don't know why we have this idea, but you don't. Maybe once upon a time, investing in the stock market was not as, I'd say, user friendly or novice friendly as it is now. You do not need a lot of money. Many of the different brokers, I'm trying to talk and highlight something at the same time, and it's not going well. Many of the big brokerage houses allow you to buy fractional shares. So, like I have a Fidelity account. I can invest as little as like $5, $3. I can buy now. I can't buy a share of an ETF for that, but I can buy a fraction of the share. And I have done that, where I looked at one of my accounts. I didn't have dividend reinvestment turned over. So they were turned on. So there was a little money just sitting there. And I was like, okay, I'm going to take this $8 and give me however many shares of that you can. So you don't need a lot of money to invest. I would say it is much better if you invest a small amount and eventually try and grow that to a larger amount versus waiting and saying, I'm going to wait until I have like $1,000 saved up or $5,000 or $10,000. There's a saying amongst the financial folks on the internet: time in the market is better than timing the market. Also, and thank you for mentioning this, BJM, if your job offers a 401k, you can invest by payroll deduction. And if your job's 401k offers a match, even if you're looking at your budget and you're like, I don't have any money at all to invest with, if your company offers a match, find something. If they do it by percents, have them subtract 1% of your take home or your salary and invest that so that you can get the match. Because if your 401k has a match, that's free money. And why would we walk away from free money? One of the reasons that I first started the Get Started Investing Challenge was because I wanted folks to know that you could invest. I don't know what's going on with my internet connection. Okay, here it is. I wanted folks to know that you could invest with a small amount of money, and it's not that difficult. The next challenge starts next week. There is a link in the description of this video. I do believe I put that in there. So if you've been thinking, I know I should be investing, but I'm not sure what to do. I'm not sure how to do it. I need, somebody to talk me through it. Sign up for the challenge. It runs for 6 days. The idea is that you will go from I have not invested, or I get a lot of people in the challenge, they have some investments through work, but they have no idea what that is. That by the end of the 6 days, you will have at least made one investment, or you will at least understand what it is you've got going on at work so that, you can take control, develop that financial confidence, and start being intentional about investing for your future. So yeah, you do not need a lot of money. There are ETFs. There are investments at all price points. Like this example from Onyx Goddess, $15 a share. But like I said, if you have a broker that allows fractional shares, you don't need a lot of money at all. Thank you, YT, for the super chat. Y'all already know I'm going to be at the bar in Cancun, so this will go to my bar tab. Thank you. So yeah. Okay, living life with Kala. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Forgive me if I didn't. My job matches 6%, and I make sure to invest 6% also. I'm taking all that free money. That's what I'm talking about. If you work someplace that does this, please take advantage of it. I have never been fortunate enough to have that kind of employer. So I would have liked some free money, but I didn't get any. There was no free money for me. Okay. How can I make money without actually working? Is that a thing? Yes, that is a thing. It's called passive income. Now, here's my beef with a lot of the people you see like on financial Twitter and financial TikTok is they talk about passive income, but then they give you all these suggestions that aren't really passive. Passive income should mean you make money and you don't do anything. One way you can do that is in the stock market. One of the questions we had last week was about dividends. So you could invest your money and buy things that pay dividends, be they individual stocks, if you're going to do that research, or be they various funds, ETFs, index funds, whatever. And they will pay you a dividend. Now, will it be enough of the dividend? I don't know. It depends on what your needs are, but that is how you can make money without doing anything. I actually did a video earlier, I think it was earlier this year. And I just dropped a link in the chat. And when we're done, I'll put this link in the description as well. It's a video on how to make money with minimal work. The really and truly only true passive thing I can think of is through investing, either by buying stocks or funds that pay dividends, investing in somebody's business that's going to pay you back. But there are other ways that might require a little bit of work on the front end, but then after you do that work on the front end, you don't have to do much work at all. And yes, you could literally make money and not do a thing, which sounds pretty awesome to me. Okay. For the folks just popping in, don't worry about being late. We're glad you came. We're glad you came. Okay. I'm seeing some questions in here, and I'm starring them so we can come back and answer them in a bit. because I don't have plans tonight, so I don't need to bail in an hour. Okay. What is the benefit of having a Charles Schwab account? If you are a traveler or you are a hopeful expat, a future expat, you've heard people tell you, oh, you need a Charles Schwab account. The biggest advantage is that they have an account it's not a checking account because Charles Schwab is not a bank. It is a brokerage firm, so it can't be a checking account, but it functions like a checking account, and you get an ATM card. And what that ATM card does for you is when you use it anywhere in the world, Charles Schwab will rebate you the ATM fees charged by the foreign machine. They also do not charge you foreign transaction fees. A lot of people don't realize this when they first start traveling, that if you use your ATM card or you use a credit card outside the US, that card may charge you a percentage of the transaction because it was a foreign transaction fee. The most common is about 3%. 3% adds up. Okay, so the video I did last Friday, which is all about what are the best cards for travelers and expats. You never want to pay foreign transaction fees. You don't want to pay currency conversion fees. You don't want to pay any of those fees. So that's a big benefit of Charles Schwab. Another benefit of Charles Schwab is that if something happens to your ATM card, they will send you, like, let's say you're traveling or you're living outside the US and something happens to your ATM card, they will send you a new one there. I have Fidelity, who also has a debit card that does not charge any foreign transaction fees, that rebates ATM fees. It does all that. But Fidelity, when something happened to my card, Fidelity was like, no problem. We will send you another one to the address on file. And I was like, that is not where I am. I need y'all to send the card to me. And Fidelity was like, no, honey, we don't do that. So that is an advantage to Charles Schwab. Another advantage to Charles Schwab, and I don't know what the deal is with this with Fidelity because I had my Fidelity account before I left the US. But as far as I can tell, Charles Schwab is one of the few US brokerage houses that will open a brokerage account, that's an investing account for you, if you are already outside the US. Most of them will not because it's a paperwork nightmare. So that's the advantage. That's why we hear people tell you over and over, get yourself a Charles Schwab account. Alicia, love Charles Schwab account, no ATM fees. So those are the major advantages that I know. As a brokerage firm, I don't think you can go wrong with Vanguard, Fidelity, or Schwab. Charles Schwab, Amex Platinum allows you to invest in the markets with points instead of cash. Fidelity has a similar card that instead of you earning points, it pays you money into your brokerage account, and then you can invest that. Let's see. Well, wait, who is this? Dita. Yeah, I asked my bank and they said 3%. I ain't paying to use my money. Exactly. I do not pay to use my money. I do not pay to access my money. No, I do not pay to bank. I'm with you. Okay. Just came back from Portugal, used Charles Schwab account. Absolutely awesome. Yes. So that's the big benefit there. Is there a minimum one needs to apply for a Charles Schwab account? I don't think so. I know they used to have a referral program, and somebody commented on last week's video asking if anybody had a referral link, because they would give money to the referrer and the referee. I don't know if they're still doing that, but you know who is still doing this? Let me double check it. Fidelity was giving folks $100. I'm checking their current specials right now. Okay, what is this? Fidelity, open an account, deposit 50. You have to open with Fidelity. Okay, so here I'm gonna drop this link to Fidelity. Has been running this deal for a minute, but like I said, I don't think with Charles Schwab or either one of them, you have to have a minimum in the account. But Fidelity will give you $100 if you open an account, deposit $50 within 15 days. They will give you $100. Okay. Okay. Oops, I zoomed in there and I did not mean to do that. Okay. So next question. I've heard of people borrowing from their IRA for an investment, usually a rental property. Can you talk more about that? The borrowing from an IRA part, not the rental property investment part. I understand it's kind of big. Okay, this is a really good question. Hold on. I'm gonna answer it in just a second. I just want to make sure there wasn't a question over here that I was missing, because I'm starring those so we can come back to them. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, y'all know that an IRA is an individual retirement account. That is a little different than, let's say, a 401k, a 403b, or a 457 that you might have during your job. Technically, you cannot borrow from an IRA. You can borrow from a 401k. In the video I did about like how to get ready to quit your job for the folks that were joining the Great Resignation, one of the things I mentioned that you should do before you quit the job is, if you have an outstanding 401k loan, find out, do you need to have it paid back before you leave, or are they going to expect you to pay it like once you quit, or what the deal is? So you can borrow from a 401k. You cannot borrow from an IRA. That is not allowed. But yes, you can invest in rental property through an IRA. What you need is a SIDRA, S-I-D, no, good Lord, I can't spell either. SDIRA, a self-directed IRA. Back in September, I spoke with, where'd the link go? Okay. Back in September, I spoke with Anne, who bought a townhouse in Playa del Carmen as a rental property through her IRA, because she has a self-directed IRA. And so, here is the link. I thought I had grabbed it. Okay. Here's the link to that video, and I will put it in the description of this one. Buying property in Mexico. Okay. There are a few rules about this. If you are opening up a regular traditional IRA or Roth IRA, you can do those just about anywhere. Self-directed IRAs require more work from the custodian, the company that's going to house it. And they have to approve the investments that you put inside of that IRA. Like, you couldn't invest in like your brother's horse farm because you and your brother, that looks a little funny. But could you buy a horse farm in your IRA? Yes. So the advantage to a self-directed IRA is that you can do things like buy stuff, invest in things that are more than just stocks and bonds and mutual funds. You can invest in property and other things. However, whoever the custodian is, the brokerage that is holding your account, they've got to approve the investment before you make it to make sure that it's legit, because the IRS is like, they don't want you trying to scam over on them. Okay. So yes, that is possible to buy real estate in your IRA. Something interesting, I forget what the rule is called, but basically you have to be careful. Like this property that you own in the IRA, in the self-directed IRA, you can't treat it like, oh, it's our vacation home and it's a rental property. You can't do that. What is that rule called? I can't remember, but like also you have to treat it like you would an investment. So you've got to kind of keep your personal stuff separate from it, but that is an option. So if that's something you're interested in, you need to find somebody who does self-directed IRAs, because you cannot own property in a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. And no, you can't live in the property. You're really not supposed to stay there. I wonder if you would, because the IRS does investigate this sort of thing. I wonder if you could stay there, but you would have to pay whatever the going rate is, whatever the rent is you charge. That's what I wonder, if that would keep you out of trouble. But yeah. Okay. And typically self-directed IRAs may have higher fees because, of course, it's a different kind of animal. Okay. To travel, what account to get at Fidelity? They throw so much at you. I don't want to get more than I need. I have a credit card, debit card from my credit union, but they have heavy charges for travelers at ATMs. Fidelity, and I believe Charles Schwab calls it a cash management account, because remember, they cannot be, they're not banks. So they're not banks, they're not credit unions. So it's not a true checking account. It may behave like one, but it is not. So they call it a cash management account, and it behaves like a checking account. So that's what I have at Fidelity. That's what you would get at somebody like Charles Schwab. Euros versus dollars, how to calculate the difference. On this question, I'm not sure if they're talking about exchange rate. If they are, my favorite app that stays installed on my phone is xe.com, so that I can get an idea of what the exchange rate is, to know like if the exchange rate my bank is giving me is good. If the ATM machine, because y'all know, or maybe y'all don't know this, many ATM machines will they will offer, like, let's say I'm in Mexico and I go to the ATM machine and I ask for 2,000 pesos. It will say, would you like $89 or 2,000 pesos? And maybe because I'm a foreigner and I'm like, oh yeah, I want $89. I take that. They just screwed me out my money, because 2,000 pesos should really be $100. They offer you a conversion. And so I like to have an independent source for any conversions I'm offered. Like, I know many of the folks that are watching this, a lot of the folks that are watching this will be in Cancun this weekend. And yes, in Cancun, because they get so many American tourists, they will often take US dollars. But sometimes you're getting the rate that they give you. it might be easy to not change your money, be very convenient to spend dollars. But if the rate they're giving you is 17 pesos to the dollar, but I pull up on xe.com and the peso is really 21 pesos to the dollar, it's not so great. The other way I interpreted this question is like, are you trying to figure out whether a price is good? And that exchange rate alone won't tell you that. You have to know kind of like how much things cost there based on of, like what people's incomes are, that sort of thing. So not sure what they meant by that question. What strategies would you recommend to get recession ready when preparing to travel or live abroad? For example, pay off debts, save, credit freeze, lower no spend month, sell items, downsize, move, etc. Yes, all of those. No, okay, here's the thing, because the recession question has been coming up. Oh, I just did something that shrunk the screen and my eyes did not like that. So here, let me unshrink the screen. Okay. The recession question is coming up a lot. And so I did want to speak about that just for a sec. I see a lot of folks online asking the question, are we going into a recession? Well, we don't know. Okay, nobody knows. You really can't identify a recession until it's already started, because it has to be 2 quarters of negative GDP growth. And so every recession that we know of, we kind of figured it out after it had already started or after we were already in it. We have already had a quarter of negative growth. So we probably are in a recession now. Now that we have moved past it, that was officially a recession. It was one of the shortest, if not the shortest, that we've had. So there is that. I keep hearing talk about the stock market's going to crash, the housing market is going to crash. Recession and crash, I don't see them as the same thing. Okay. You can have a recession that doesn't have a crash, because a recession is negative growth. You tend to have inflation during recessions, but a crash of either kind is not a given. I also see lots of people talking about this one will be different. And up until earlier this week, I was one of those people that's like, wow, the situation we're in right now, coming off of or still in a pandemic, global supply chain issues, like all of that stuff going on, this recession will be different. And then, y'all know I am a fan of Paula Pant and her podcast, Afford Anything. And this was last week's episode, where every other week she does Ask Paula. And this was one of those weeks. And somebody had written a question in kind of like this about like preparing, or what should their move be during the recession. And in answering the question, Paula and her guest host, Joe, talked about how every recession is different than the previous one. Okay, so like everybody getting like all the sky is falling because things are different this time. They were different the last time, they were different the time before. And something else that they brought up that I had not considered was the kind of innovation that often comes out of recessions. They mentioned things like, out of the 2008, 2009 recession, think about things like Uber And all, like all of those kinds of things came about because of the innovation that was taking place there. So, why would this time be any different? So I dropped a link to that episode. It's the response to the first person's question that I think really, really hit the head on the nail. So I want us to kind of relax a little bit as we think about this recession, and think about it like this. How would, if you knew we were going into another pandemic, how would you prepare for that based off of the lessons you've learned? Based off of those of us who were around 2008, 2009, 2010, how would, what have we learned? Pay off your debt, guys. uh, the video I did, the 10 money moves to make before you move abroad, I think all of those would work for this. Pay off your debt. Assuming, because like the last recession, we had high unemployment. We don't have that right now. So already we're seeing something a little different. We've got hella inflation, but people, as of right now, people aren't losing their jobs. Unemployment is low. There are still lots of companies that are hiring. So, yes, pay off your debt, beef up your savings, your oh shit fund. Okay, beef that up. I would evaluate my budget. Tiffany Aliche, the Budgetnista, talks about like, what is your ramen noodle budget? Like what is the minimum you need? Okay. And I would evaluate expenditures, new purchases, and make sure that, can I pay for this in cash? I would not, this is not the time that I would be putting lots of things on credit cards. One, interest rates have gone up, and that means the interest you will pay on that debt has increased. And so those are the kinds of things. Now, if you are getting ready to move abroad, you should already be downsizing and selling things. So that works well with there being a recession or not, because you got this stuff in your house, you can't take it with you. Why not sell it and beef up your supply of cash? That's what I say. Going through, see if I need to start any more questions, because we're almost at the end of the questions I have in the PowerPoint. Companies are starting to lay off people, but I find if you look at what industries those are, it's kind of industries that like interest rates went up. So people involved in financing loans and things like that, there's probably going to be less of that going on because they're trying to tighten the money supply. So yeah, you would cut people like that. But we're not seeing what we saw before. And Paula and Joe do a much better job of this, but they also talk about like the housing situation, this idea that, oh, there'll be a recession and the housing market will crash. Not necessarily. None of that stuff is a given. None of that stuff is a guarantee that it will look the same as it did in 08 and 09. So yeah. So that's really how I would approach it. The big thing would be to eliminate debt, increase savings. If you feel like you are in a line of work that doesn't do well during recessions, maybe this is the time you start thinking about, and y'all know, I never want to tell a Black woman she needs to work more. That just don't sit right in my soul. Okay. But recessions are special times. This is when I'd start thinking about What's my backup plan? What's the side hustle that I could easily do to either help beef up my savings, or if I lose hours at my regular job, I'd have this other stream of income. Because I think that's the thing we learned from the beginning of the pandemic, is that having one stream of income is not the best. Not the best. Okay. What about investing in precious metals and gemstones? I am going to give y'all a link to a really good article by Andrew Hallam, who is also known as the Millionaire Teacher. If you want to learn about investing and you're an expat, his book called The Millionaire Expat, I think it is, How to Build Wealth While Living Overseas. He's a good person. So is gold a good investment? According to Andrew Hallam, no, it isn't. Okay. The biggest issue I have with investing in gold, precious metals, gemstones, whatever, is that they are illiquid. In this last year, here in Mexico City, I saw just that play out. Somebody needed to buy a plane ticket because they needed to go back to their home country. And they had 6 little mini gold bars. And Delta don't take gold bars. Neither does Aeromexico. So they needed to get somebody to, give them cash for that, illiquid. So it was going to take time and effort to find somebody to do that. But a lot of people think about, well, gold's a safe investment. And in this article that I have put a link there, and I'll put a link in the description, Andrew talks about how it's not. And I took a clip of this chart to show you. The blue is the US stock market and the red is gold. And what do you notice about those two lines? The growth in the US stock market outpaced gold significantly. In the article, he also talks about how, if you look back historically, after the last few recessions, the price of gold plummeted. So I would not, if it were me, and remember, I'm not licensed to give anybody advice, I would not buy physical gold because it is so hard. It's so illiquid. It would be really hard if I needed to access my cash. If you want to still use it as sort of an inflation hedge, get an ETF that invests in gold, or an ETF that invests in precious metals or gemstones. That way, if you need to get access to the cash, it's just a stock trade away, far more liquid than carrying around gold. That's just my opinion on that. Okay. All right. Is that the last question? How do you feel about real estate crowdfunding like Fundrise? I think it's a viable option. I think you still have to do your due diligence. If you want to invest in real estate and you don't have a lot of money, this is a great way, I think, to do it. Because I think, is Fundrise the one that's like $10, $25 minimum? This is a way to do it. So I have not heard negative things about Fundrise. Now, for somebody like me, the thing about crowdfunding investment is I'm not the one calling the shots. I'm not the one making a decision. And for me personally, that would be a problem. But as an option to invest in real estate, I don't think this is necessarily a bad one. Okay. Inflation in Mexico. What's going on with it? There is inflation in Mexico. I just was reading an article about it. I think right now it's like 7.5%, something like that. But prices I've seen price increases vary from like 7% up to 20%. Y'all know my math skills. I think in terms of tacos. So I think it was back in February. I normally order two steak tacos from a place around the corner from me that used to be 59 pesos. It is now 65 pesos, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's like a 20% price increase. So yeah, inflation is here. People are seeing prices on food and gas go up just like in the US. Now, how does that impact me? I don't know. I don't really cook a lot. So I can't point to like, oh, this thing at the grocery store costs more now. I buy things at the grocery store so infrequently, but prices on menus, I have seen so many menus where there are stickers where they've had to write in a new price. So yeah, there is definitely inflation happening here. Okay. Okay, so there are some questions that y'all have that I can. Simply Stephanie, you might be new here, baby girl, but I'm not ignoring your question. So you just gotta wait your turn. Let's see. Okay, see who else has a question that I need to start. Okay. All right. So the questions that y'all have asked tonight. Okay. Is there a hierarchy when it comes to investments? For example, precious gems, real estate, stocks. I think you might find some people who will tell you, yes, there is a hierarchy. My philosophy is it's about what are your goals for that money, because certain investments make more sense depending on your goals, as well as what is your time frame, what's your time horizon. That I think are the two most important things when deciding where should you put your money. Let me know if that doesn't answer your question. Okay. Do you know the investment inside the Roth? Oh, maybe this wasn't a question for me. Maybe that one was not a question for me. Okay. Okay. Razine had a question. Is there a percentage you suggest investing? Well, I think you need to look at your overall savings rate. And it also comes back to what are your goals? I think everybody should be saving 20%. And that saving / investing, that's like at a minimum. You should be saving 20% of what you make. That may mean part of that 20% is the money you're putting in your 401k, in your IRA. That might include the money that is going in your oh shit fund and your FU money fund, minimum 20%. If you are trying to reach financial independence, you would want that number to be like 50%. That's what I think. And you may find some folks on the internet that will tell you something different, but that's what I think. Annabelle, now that I have a brokerage account, how often should I invest? Regularly. But what makes sense for your life? If you get paid once a month, invest once a month. If you get paid every 2 weeks, invest every 2 weeks. But whatever it is, it needs to be regularly. Okay. What are your thoughts on using life insurance as a means to be your own personal bank? That seems to be gaining traction and people are learning more about it. And I ain't gonna say it's a scam. I'm not gonna use that word, but life insurance is not an investment. I am not a fan of life insurance as an investment. The people who sell you the life insurance, and I'm not talking, okay, let me clarify something. I am not talking about term life insurance. Like, you have people who, when you die, would be dependent on your income, be they minor children, be they a spouse, be they, brothers, sisters, whoever, or people that you think in 25, 30, 40 years that when you die, there are people who you would like to get this money. That is term life insurance. It has a specific term. There is no cash value attached to it. I'm not talking about that because that has its uses. What I think Nikki's question is about is like whole life, and it has a variety of other names. And they tell you like, oh, because this policy has a cash value, you can borrow against it, blah, blah, blah. What they don't like to tell you is that if you decide that you don't want to do this investment anymore, there's a surrender charge. I had a client who someone she trusted had talked her into investing in a life insurance policy. And I shouldn't even say investing, talked her into buying a life insurance policy and got her to put up $20K, all her money up front. For 15 years, she can't get her money back without a surrender charge of $27,000. That means to get out of that contract early, she would have to pay them an additional $7,000 to get out of the contract. They never mentioned that part. They also never mention the fees or the commissions that they make off selling that to people. So no, I am not a fan, not at all. I love this question, glass half full. Should I be investing now? Probably. My current Schwab keeps telling me that I am losing money. Okay, two things we need to talk about here. Should you be investing now? If you have money that you could be investing, there is no reason not to invest now, assuming you don't need that money this year, next year. The general rule is that you don't invest money that you need in less than 5 years because of market fluctuations and volatility. So if you've got money and you're like, I don't really need this money for another 10 years, why not invest it? Okay. Now, your Schwab account tells you that you're losing money. Maybe. You have to look at how much did you buy it for versus how much it's worth now. My Fidelity account, if I go in there now, because I remember how high it was, where it is now, I've lost, I don't know, 50, 60 grand, something like that. However, I haven't really lost that money until I decide to sell off my investments. The whole idea is that you buy low and you sell high. If you sell now that the price is lower, yes, you will lose money. But if you just leave it in there and wait for things to go back up, you never lost any money. Okay? So you lost money on paper, but that doesn't really count. Those are unrealized losses. So don't stress out about that. I have Fidelity through my job. Can I open a Charles Schwab account also? Yes. But the question is, do you need to? Is it going to serve some different purpose? But yes, you can have both. I don't often find it to be necessary, but yes, you could. Yes, the answer to this question, would the money in a Charles Schwab management account be cash management account be FDIC insured? Yes, it is. The money in your Charles Schwab brokerage account is not FDIC insured. Okay, I like my Charles Schwab account, but I do want an Amex. Is Amex still widely taken? Um, it's I don't know about widely taken. I have learned here in Mexico that when I ask for them to bring me the terminal, I have to also ask, do you take American Express? The majority, let's say 9 or 8 times out of 10, they do take American Express, but it's a different network. So they need a different terminal. So I have learned to let them know before they go to get the terminal, because in here, they don't take your card and charge it. They bring the terminal to the table and charge it in front of you. I let them know, hey, I have an American Express. That way they go and they bring it. But I would say 8 or 9 times out of 10, they take American Express. Can your credit card debts be canceled or forgiven? What happens if you stop paying? If you stop paying credit cards, because when you sign up for a credit card, you are agreeing to their terms of service and their terms of use. And basically, you are signing up for a revolving loan. And you are telling them that, yes, I will pay this. And if I don't pay this, you are allowed to pursue, your legal recourse, which means putting negative things on your credit report to the credit bureaus. Your credit score gets lower. They can send it to collections, which will make it difficult if you need a loan in the future. Can they be canceled or forgiven? I mean, a credit card debt is a loan. So it would be tantamount to somebody who you borrowed money from saying, that's okay, you don't have to pay me back. How likely is it that a credit card company is going to tell you that? Very unlikely. They are not in this business out of the kindness of their heart. They're in this business to make money. Now, Miss Simply Stephanie, you asked this question like 87 times. And I can tell you're new here because you don't know that I've already done a video about how to pay your taxes and what your tax obligations are when you live abroad. So I will share that video, a link right here. Do I have to pay taxes? All right. The short answer is if you are a U.S. citizen, as long as you are a U.S. citizen or a U.S. green card holder, you will have to pay taxes. If you are concerned, well, no, I take that back. You will have to file taxes. Whether or not you have to actually pay is going to be dependent on your state income tax situation, as well as whether or not you qualify for the foreign earned income exclusion, which I talk all about in this video. I spoke to an expat that says he had trouble with his U.S. bank where he didn't have access to his money for weeks. Do you suggest that we have 2 bank accounts if one fails? That is absolutely what I suggest. And I even did a video on that. Where is the link for it? Here we go. Financial accounts for travelers and expats. Here is the link to that video. And this is one of the things that I talk about, is that because you are physically outside of the US, you need to have multiple ways to access your money. And so I talk about how many accounts I think is optimal. But again, you've got to make a decision based on how you live in your life. Okay, let's see. Simi, was this question? Oh, okay. I see you put RE navigating the recession. What if you're already traveling or on a sabbatical? If you are already traveling or on a sabbatical, I think it's still about maybe not balling out, maybe like you had planned. Especially if you are funding your sabbatical through savings, you might want, especially because we've seen an increase in prices of everyday things, as well as an increase in prices for air travel and all of that. I might kind of run two scenario budgets, like, budget A, what's my lean budget? Is that going to change maybe some of the countries or some of the places that I have decided that I wanted to visit? Does that mean I cut out a place or I stay in a place a little longer than I had planned? Because remember, moving more frequently is going to be more expensive. So if you're concerned about your budget lasting the entire time, you might want to revisit how many places you are going and that sort of thing. I have an affiliate link for a bookstore because I'm not a fan of Amazon. So if I can find my affiliate link, I'll put it in the description. If you want to buy from Amazon, you could do that. But I have made a choice not to sign up for the Amazon affiliate program because I don't want their dirty money. I tell y'all all the time, I'm a horrible capitalist because a good capitalist would take the money, dirty or not, but I don't. I have not heard of any food shortages. Here's the thing, or at least this is my observation of the agricultural system here. There's a lot of food products that are made, manufactured, created, and sold here in Mexico. If you think about the way the US food system is set up, the bulk of what is grown, the corn, the soybean, it's grown to feed animals. It's not grown to feed people. And so the US, I feel, and I have nothing other here to go on than feelings and vibes. I have not researched this at all. But I feel like the food shortages that are showing up in the US have more to do with how their agribusiness, agricultural setup is structured versus here in Mexico. I could be wrong, but that's what my gut is telling me. Okay. Seeing if there is any other question that I might have missed in here. I see y'all with these high gas prices. I am so thankful to not drive. I will tell you, we were talking about inflation here in Mexico. I don't know if it's a function of inflation, if it's a function of fewer people wanting to drive Uber or what have you, but the Uber prices they're getting stupid. On Juneteenth, I had the choice. I went and I picked up something. So I had the dog with me. I had this thing I was carrying. It was a long day. I just wanted to get home. I was like, let me see what Uber is offering. Uber wanted like 300 pesos to bring me home, which is about $15, which if you're in the US, you're thinking $15 for an Uber, that's great. Y'all, remember the minimum wage in Mexico is about $8 a day. If I took the metro and the trolley bus together, along with maybe a 20-minute walk, it would cost me 9 pesos. So do I pay 9 pesos or do I pay 300 pesos? So yeah, I'm walking and I'm on mass transit a whole lot more these days. A whole lot more. Um, is it best to use cash when visiting cities like Merida and Mexico City instead of a fee-free credit card? Um, it depends. If you're about that credit card life and getting those points, why wouldn't you want to use the points? It depends also on what you're shopping for. If you're trying to buy street tacos, odds are they're not going to take cards, so you need cash. If you want to buy from vendors on the street, cash is better. But there's a version of your experience here that can be completely on credit card. So either way. Okay. Uh, Sarah, are you asking me this? Because this is the hardest question everybody who's getting close to the age that they qualify for Social Security is weighing this question. And there is no one right answer for this. I think it depends on everybody's personal situation. It's, do you think you have the extra time that's going to make waiting worth it? Or are you like, you know what, give me my money now? um, I won't get my own Social Security because I never paid into it as an adult. However, I am entitled to, oh boy, I used to be married to, I'm entitled to at least half of his Social Security benefit. And I'm hoping he files early so I can start getting my money sooner. Let's see. We got any other questions in here? I don't think so. Oh, okay. I have a target date fund in my Vanguard Roth IRA. Do I need to get another Roth IRA if I wanted to? Nope. The Roth IRA is just the container for the stuff. You can buy lots of different kinds of stuff inside the container. So no, you don't need another account. Mm-mm-mm. Oh, hold on. Hold on. I thought I was caught up and I'm not, and then it jumped and now I'm lost. So y'all be patient with me. Hold on. Okay, so now I'm back where I thought I was. Okay, talking about banks, high yield savings accounts. Y'all are on it. Allies are online bank. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Okay. Blah blah blah. We're good. We're good. Yes. Okay, y'all. I'm having some technical difficulties. I do still do one-on-one sessions. You can book a one-on-one session with me. And I thought I had the link right here. Okay, here we go. This is where you can do, if you need to book a one-on-one session with me, I still do those. This is where, okay, why is it not showing up? I'm sorry. Obviously, I'm still having technical difficulties. Okay, this is the URL if you want to book a one-on-one session with me. askadelia.setmore.com/services. If you need to book a one-on-one with me, that is where you can do that. Y'all don't need to know this, but the bit.ly link I had was going to my e-commerce site on my website. Apparently, all of the e-commerce stuff disappeared just one day out of the blue, and I cannot figure out how to get it back or how to redirect that bit.ly site. I am working on it. So yes, I'm sorry about that, y'all. Okay. Okay. So yeah, uh, so much I could say about Amazon, so much, but I don't like to support companies that do not treat their employees well, um, and among other things. So I try not, like I don't fool with Walmart if at all possible. Um, I don't I don't fool with Amazon if I can help it. Now, if I find out that Target be doing shady stuff, my feelings are really gonna get hurt. Da, 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 da. 62 selling a house for what is that? $400,000. Is that enough with Social Security to ride out the sunset of my life? Depends on how you living. If you own yachts every week, maybe not. If you are balling on a budget, quite possibly. It really, really depends. Okay, I think, are we at the end of the questions now? Maybe we are. Okay. All right. So, um, I am using I am using StreamYard, which is very, very easy to use. Um, blah blah blah. Okay, so the other thing that I want to tell y'all before we went, again, remind you that um, the Get Started Investing Challenge starts next week. So if you have heard me talk about the need to invest enough and you're like, okay, fine, I want to get started, but I need a little hand holding to get me off my butt, to get me doing it. Um, Join the challenge, 6 days. Um, you need, okay, let me qualify that. You need to be the Get Started Investing Challenge is only open to Black women. Okay, because investing, learning to invest, learning about this stuff, this can be a very vulnerable position to be in, like, because we're all adults and everybody's supposed to know how to do everything, but we don't. Okay, and so I want that challenge to be a safe space. And Black women are the group that is the furthest behind when it comes to investing. So this challenge is aimed specifically at Black women. If you happen to be a woman of color, look at my Financial Confidence Academy, because that is a broader space. But the Get Started Investing Challenge is only for Black women. And you have to have at least 1 hour a day that you can give to the lesson and doing the thing and asking the questions. Now, we have, I can't remember what time the Zoom calls are. They're in the evening. There is not a Zoom call every day, so it's not like that. But it's not the kind of challenge where you can be like, oh, well, I was busy the first 2 days and I'll just catch up. People who do that usually find it to be too much. They find it to be overwhelming. So if you've got 1 hour a day that you want to give to this and you need somebody to help get you started investing, think about signing up for the challenge. Okay. So I have said that. Oh, let me remind you to subscribe if you have not, because we are going to have a little party, a little celebration for when we hit 10,000 subscribers, as well as a little something else we're going to celebrate, but I'm not going to tell y'all yet. And I think that's it. Rosalind, thank you for saying this. In case anybody was still wondering, not a fan of whole life insurance or any flavor of that. All right. I think I saw one. Okay. All right. Okay. What if I've gotten started, but I don't really understand what I'm doing? Would this be good for me? I think it would be, because often the women I get have existing investments, but it's like, I signed up for this stuff when it was benefits time, but I don't really know what it is. I don't know if it's right for me. So yes, I think even if you have investments, but you don't really understand them or sure if you're going the right direction, I think the challenge could be beneficial as well. I really do. Okay. Um, all right, y'all. I think we have done it. Okay. One more time. And I am gonna go work on fixing this tonight. If you want a one-on-one session with me, actually, there is a link to this on the website. If you go just to my website, pickygirltravelstheworld.com, the link there to ask Adelia sessions, that link works. What doesn't work is the bit.ly link. That link does not work. But if you go to my actual website, pickygirltravelstheworld.com, that will get you to where you can sign up for a one-on-one session, as well as whatever else I'm offering. Okay. Here we go. Stacy, I did the challenge. It was extremely helpful. Now I probably need a one-on-one session. All right, y'all. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I'm going to go finish getting my life together so that I can be ready, both Mia and I, when we fly out on Friday. Thank y'all. I think I'm going to see some of y'all this weekend. Y'all take care. And until next time.